Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite off-brand YouTuber. Oh, I meant to say off-brand aggro player, but like that statement is also true. So yeah. In today's video, it's more of a showcase of me winning games where I wasn't supposed to win. I start off by picking Conquer Lilius because I am a monkey aggro player, and this is what, aggro players do. Or like it's not even like aggro players, like a lot of people just slam down Conquer Lilius. It's just like not because she's broken or anything, not because she kills off mid speed cleaves, she speed contests, she has a lot of utility, not because of any of that, just because, like, she's waifu or whatever. My opponent picks a DN AOL core here, which isn't that common anymore, so I don't have the best answers geared for it, which is why you're seeing me struggle here. That comp is technically like still like very cleavable, so that's the direction I'm planning to go on here. I picked Pera because the unbuffable is really strong against AOL and kind of against DN. Like, I guess she can't S2 it off, but it forces her to be committing the S2 to cleanse it off instead of like anti-crit and attack buff. My opponent picks Shu and DJB. It's kind of hard to pivot out at this point with the units I have built anyway. So I just commit to the cleave and just pick like your good old Ida Caesarea. I'm hoping my opponent doesn't pick Rem because this is like half cleave, half control, still kind of aggro because it's my units and so they're not built the best. I'm contemplating banning Arya, but I actually end up banning AOL because I'm just hoping like my Paras S2 will do some like heavy lifting. I think Peyra isn't as good as she used to be in the meta because of all the answers, such as like Edward, DJB. But since a lot of the newer Soul Weaver builds, such as like DN, Bunny Dom, and what is it? Amelia, like the really fast Soul Weavers, kind of cut their ER to be able to have those speeds. It's pretty good to have Peyra because she denies a lot of comps. Like, as you can see, um, it's kind of like I really have to hope that my Hwayoung is able to kill DJB here. My Peyra does have a lot more effectiveness than my Conquer Lilia, so I didn't want to risk my S2 onto the DN just to have it resisted. And I have to play this like really RNG game where I have to pray that Shu doesn't counter me to death. I eat a really heavy S1 S2 combo here, but luckily my Caesarea survives due to Vigor and Escort, and I don't get any more counterattacks. And I'm forced to S3 with Hwayoung here into the DJB because if either of the two DPS units get a turn in this first like round, like rotation of skills, I guess, like I'm gonna lose. Luckily, Hwayoung is a like a fair and balanced unit. DJB dies, and I think I should be able to control his team from here on out. I S1 Arya here just to not risk any counters, and I think I choose here to try and check the DN, but or no, I don't. I go on Arya, yeah, because she doesn't have any cleanses anymore. Since DN is out of cleanses, this is one of the weaknesses of DN. Like, she does have a cleanse, but it's not a lot of cleanse, if it makes sense. It's only two debuffs. Like, Shu and Arya have been denied multiple turns at this point because she doesn't cleanse off enough debuffs, and since her S2 is on cooldown, she actually doesn't do anything about debuffs anymore. So I can use this opportunity to control her. I set off a bomb onto Shu, so I set it up so that I can chain CC them, if it makes sense. But yeah, this match is pretty self-explanatory at this point. Uh, Me being able to pull off Caesarea into DJB, Arya, and Shu is a miracle in itself. I'm lucky that this Arya isn't like a billion ER. I'm lucky that a Shu didn't counter too many times. Excuse me. Oh yeah, I guess like Diane doesn't take off a lot of debuffs, but she cycles really fast. So her S2 is up again. So it's like Hwyung against the world at this point. But again, I have Peyra and Conquer Lilius here, and I'm hoping that even though I'm eating some heavy counters, luckily no crit. I guess she's not on full crit stats. I can eke this one out. Like Shu's countering nonstop, but my Peyra survives luckily. Even if Arya S3's here, it doesn't really matter because she herself won't get the counter buff, which is the important part. Like, yes, having stealth on the other two units is annoying, but Arya not being able to put out damage by countering is like the big issue. So, I'm just gonna spend this time to talk a little bit about the Hwyung nerfs. Like, I do think that she does need a nerf, but I don't think it's just her because Hwyung keeps a lot of like problem units in check. Like a lot of the more toxic quote unquote standard units, such as like Green Armin, Archdemon Shadow, Senya, Alencia, they're kind of like kept into check with Hwyung. And yes, while a lot of people do pre-ban Hwyung if they rely on those units, like you can still use Hwyung outside of RTA. You know, like I can use Hwyung to deal with those units like Guild Wars or like Arena, and she's like very accessible to a lot of the units. So I think just nerfing her is kind of short-sighted, but I'm hoping that they're open to banning more units like Conquer, Lilius, Peyra, Ran, like the opener trio, like Lua, for example, all should get nerfs, but I don't run this game. So yeah, like luckily, like I don't think I should have won that game. Like Caesarea, Hwyung into two ice units with proof and 15% on their side, like pretty based. But you know, we take those. Like these are free points. I normally would not first pick APOC, but Conquer Lilius is banned, so I just felt I don't know. I just had a feeling like sometimes in RTA, like you should have a set plan in mind, but you know, I play for fun. And my opponent picks DJB and Hwyung. Like DJB is becoming one of those like no fun standard units alongside FCC. Like DJB FCC is like one of the strongest standard picks at this moment of time, and it's really irritating because it's hard to aggro down, but it's also very good against a lot of the other standard units. My opponent here, seeing DN, goes for Peyra, which is unusual, but I guess since they picked DJB, they felt safe. I'm not too sure what to pick here because, again, like I'm not a whale. Like I don't know if you guys know this. My account is like a year and a half ish old, and I've been free to play ever since Peyra came out because that's when I started getting really upset with the game. So I so my reasoning here with Ida is that I can strip Peyra's buffs off with S2, S3 and kind of like equalize the speed playing ground. And a lot of DJBs are around 240 speed. And my Ida slightly faster than that, so she should be able to outspeed. And then I pick Sylvan Sage Vivian because I didn't have anything else better to pick, and she saw it. She's also like a very underrated anchor in standard, I think, because if from my experience at least, outside of like Hwyung and Rimuru, a standard doesn't really have a lot of debuffs at the moment because there's a lot of units that punish debuffs like Dilbert, Edward, and such. So Sylvan Sage Vivian gets like a lot of unexpected mileage. I ban out Sid here so my Ida doesn't die, and I like having souls. Like you can see me having a mild stroke here because I know I picked badly. Like you don't have to tell me, I know. But a part of RTA is that if you are not a whale, you'll notice that sometimes your drafts get very restricted because you just don't have all the options built. And I don't have openers, and I don't have a lot of standard units built, which complicates things. My opponent bans APOC here, but that was incorrect. He should have banned DN because DN basically one of the reasons Payra started to fall off at the beginning was because DJB's buff came out and fast Soul Weavers that just cleanse off Payra's debuffs make Payra very difficult to play in standard because a lot of Payra's value comes from the S2 debuffs being debilitating. My opponent tries to ER check my DN, or like not ER check, just like stun my DN, but he didn't have souls, so it's only like a 60% chance. I S3 to jack up Ida, but I think I should have S2'd here just so I can get the CR manipulation on my team because I'm not pushing back this DJB. Like there's no way. But the DJB wasn't on Water's Origin either, so I think my units may have been able to cut, but it's fine. I'm just hoping that his Hwayoung would die, but Hwayoung with the... Is it? It's like Little Queen Charlotte's passive, like the decreased critical hit damage. Like she survives, like yeah, whatever. But I think I should be able to stabilize here because Hwayoung does S3 my Sylvan Sage Vivian, but I think that's a mistake. I think she should have S1'd because S1 does more damage because S1 has its like built-in tooth, and the extra tooth damage from the actual tooth would have done a lot more damage, but you know, I take those. My Sylvan barely survives. So my opponent misplayed here multiple times. He should have banned my Dian and he should have S1 my Sylvan Sage Vivian, but you know, if people are willing to donate their points to me, like I'm not gonna complain about it, you know. And it feels good to showcase one of the better built units on my account. Like my Sylvan Sage Vivian, if I remember correctly, is like 420 gear score. Nice, right? And yeah, look at that animation. Plus 15, by the way. But yeah, it's pretty much over. Like my opponent should know this. But yeah. Oh, I also wanted to get into how I try to upload on Mondays and Fridays normally, but I'm having some issues with like some of my family members are getting sick and they live like outside the country, so there may be a period where I may have to not upload as consistently or like make it like one a week pre-recorded and not keep up with the time. So like it'll be near the end of this month, but that's something that I did want to say, like, cause I, like, again, like, I want to thank anyone who's watching my videos, like, especially like a lot deeper into the video, because most of my videos, like, people stop watching after like the first like third or quarter. But like, if you're here still watching, like, thank you a lot. Like, I really do find joy in creating content because you know, I think my opinions are like they make sense, and I like talking, and it's like fun to like share something that I enjoy and that I'm like kind of good at with the world, you know? Yeah. And this is my last video. So this is just gonna be like this is what I try to do. I'm thinking of setting up videos so where it's like the first like two or three videos are like themed, like quote unquote like themed at whatever the stupid video name is or the thumbnail is, but the last one is gonna be like to my core playstyle of what is it? What's it called? Aggro, yeah. My last video will always be like a down and gritty like aggro video, and that's what it is. My opponent is picking pretty strangely, like they're picking like as if I am no, the way I would say is they're picking too reactionary. Like Lionheart, Sermia, and Edward, I guess, do complement each other to some sort because it disincentivizes Conqueror Lilius from pressing either of her buttons, but there's workarounds. Like any mid-speed DPS here is gonna destroy Lionheart Sermia, and that's exactly what I do. Lionheart Sermia does really poorly into Sylvan Sage Vivian and Apocalypse Ravi, and Ida is faster than the rest of his team. Even like the fastest Celine's like there are like 240, 250 Selines, but that's pretty rare. And I would have just taken my chances at that point because my highest attack unit here is Sylvan Sage Vivian, which would have survived Celine's S2. So I dual attack here. I proc Lionheart Zermia, but it's okay. None of my DPSs are gonna die, so I don't give a shit. And we start having as much fun as humanly possible into my opponent's team. Uh, Luckily, this Lionheart gets everything stripped by Ida, so it's kind of donezo already. I'm thinking about whether I want to go into Celine or Lionheart, but again, like I really don't care what this Lionheart does, so I just opt to kill out Celine and get rid of a DPS. Like this Lionheart Zermia's DPS is neutered by the defense break as a defense scaling unit. And even though Alencia does give defense buff, it's not enough. If you look at the math behind it, defense scaling units really need that defense buff, and that defense break being on there, basically canceling it out, makes her hit like wet tissue paper, and you'll see that. My opponent, he's kind of done, but I don't know what he's. I don't know why he's still here. He also banned really strangely. He picked a lot of. Well, I guess what I mean to say is he picked Celine, so banning Diane, anticipating Celine not to go through is kind of weird because Peyra, shuts down my team much harder, in my opinion. So I would have opted to ban for one of my DPSs and take my chances there, but you know, he also didn't pick enough support, in my opinion. So like, 4 DPS comps are a real thing that like I do it sometimes. Like you've seen it, you see me do it, but I think that requires a lot of like speed tuning and knowing how your units would work together. But that was not the case in this game. So yeah, he's about to kill my APOC. But again, like Sylvan Sage Vivian is really good into the standard nowadays, as long as you don't get controlled, you don't get hit by fixed damage, and you don't get hit by like debilitating debuffs, like burns, not crowd control. But yeah, my opponent's still here, so like whatever, I'll humor him, like bleh. But thanks for watching. It's really fun to be able to share how even if you don't have the most units built, the most mola, or the most gear, you can still be like relatively successful. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.